They are eating humans. A terrifying park ranger story. The forest doesn't care if you believe in it. It doesn't need your belief to exist. It was ancient before the first human foot ever crushed a fern underfoot, and it will be here, hungrily waiting, long after the last one is gone. We park rangers, we're not heroes. We're the thin, khaki-clad line between the world of pavement and the world of teeth. Most people only see the postcards. We see the things that make the pictures. My name is Eli Vance. I've worn the badge for 20 years, from the mist-shrouded peaks of the Smokies to the sucking, silent bayous of Louisiana. I've seen things that would curdle your blood and heard sounds that don't belong on this earth. They tell you to write it down, to file a report. But the real reports, the ones that matter, are written in the cold sweat on your back and the way you jump at the sound of a twig snapping long after you've left the trees behind. It started, as these things often do, with a sound. Not a natural one. The Appalachians have a symphony at night. Crickets, frogs, the rustle of possums, the distant, lonely cry of a coyote. This was a violation. A woman's scream, ripped from a human throat, echoing through the deep valleys of the Great Smoky Mountains. It was a sound of pure, undiluted terror. And then it changed. It dropped, distorted, melting into a guttural, laughing howl that seemed to vibrate through the very ground beneath our boots. My partner, a rookie named Jessup, went white as a sheet. His hand went to his service weapon, a useless gesture against a sound. "Dispatch, this is Unit 7. We have a possible 10 to 52 in the Hollow Creek Basin," I said into my radio. Static hissed back at me. A dead, empty noise. The digital screen flickered and died. Full bars to nothing in a heartbeat. The howl came again, but this time it wasn't from one direction. It echoed from the ridge to our left, and immediately answered from a thicket of rhododendron to our right, and finally from directly behind us, so close it felt like a hot breath on the back of my neck. A pincer movement. Tactical. Intelligent. We found the campsite at first light. The tent was a catastrophe of shredded nylon and snapped poles. It looked like it had been put through a wood chipper. But inside, the sleeping bags were rumpled but intact. A package of hot dogs, a bag of marshmallows, a box of granola bars, all untouched. They weren't there for the food. A single hiking boot lay on its side near the cold fire pit. And the smell, coppery and thick, like a butcher's shop in the August heat. We never found the hikers, not a trace. They transferred me not long after. Stress, they said, a change of scenery. They sent me to the bayous. The humidity there is a physical weight, and the silence is different. It's a dense, living silence, broken only by the plop of a gator sliding into the black water or the screech of a night Huron. The old Cajuns who ran the airboats warned me about the few fall at the foolish fire, will-o'-the-wisps, lost souls. They told me not to follow the lights. Old Boudreau, his face a road map of wrinkles, grabbed my arm one evening as I prepped a boat. "Non, Ranger, ils ne sont pas des aimes. Ils sont des lawyers. They are not souls. They are lures." We got the call about a missing fisherman, old man LeBlanc. His wife said he'd gone out for grouper and never come back. The swamp doesn't give up its secrets easily, but we found his flatboat adrift in a narrow channel, the little outboard motor still puttering uselessly, its propeller tangled in a mass of slimy reeds. And then we saw them. Pale, sickly yellow lights, 3 of them, dancing just above the inky water. They didn't flicker like methane flame. They pulsed with a slow, rhythmic beat, like a diseased heart. They didn't drift on the sluggish breeze. They moved with a chilling, coordinated purpose, gliding between the cypress knees. Then, from a dense wall of reeds to our right, we heard it. A wet, crunching sound. A sound like a dog working on a soup bone, but louder, more deliberate. Crack. Snap up. Crunch. It was the sound of something immensely strong methodically breaking apart a body to get to the soft parts inside. I drew my sidearm, my heart hammering against my ribs. Jessup, back in the Smokies, would have charged in. I'd learned. I stood frozen in the boat, listening to that awful feasting sound. The pulsing lights drifted closer, as if curious. The crunching stopped, the reeds parted, nothing emerged. But the water rippled as something large and heavy slid beneath the surface. The lights winked out. The only sound was the hum of the mosquitoes and the putter of LeBlanc's abandoned motor. We never found a body, not a bone. The next chapter was written in stone, a cave system in Utah, designated for sealing. 2 geology students from BYU had gone in. They didn't come out. Search and rescue went in. They found the students' packs, their helmets, their ropes, and the camera. The techs recovered the data. The last photo wasn't of mineral deposits. It was a picture taken from deep within the cave's belly, pointing back toward the pinprick of light that was the entrance. And standing in that entrance, silhouetted against the outside world, was a figure. It was impossibly tall and unnervingly thin, its limbs too long, its head cocked at an angle that would have shattered a human neck. It was blocking their way out. The audio file was worse. Muffled breathing, panicked whispers. Do you see it? What is that? Then a scrabbling sound, a cry of terror that was abruptly cut off. And then the new sound. A low, wet rending. A sound of tearing and a steady, rhythmic crunch. And beneath it, a faint, almost contented clicking. The microphone picked it all up with horrifying clarity. It was a feast. We pumped remote cameras on cables into the deepest, narrowest tunnels, places no human could ever go. One camera, its infrared eye piercing the absolute blackness, picked up a heat signature. It was massive, a pulsing blob of white-hot energy curled around a pile of something that gave off a fainter, cooler glow. As we watched, the main signature shifted, and something long and whip-like, blazing hot on the IR spectrum, lashed out and dragged one of the cooler objects into a central maw. The thermal image flared. The sound on the feed was a dry, splintering snap. We dynamited the entrance shut the next day. I thought the Pacific Northwest would be a respite. Tall trees, clean air. I was wrong. The horror here is psychological. It gets inside your head. We were tracking a family, the Wilsons, who'd failed to return from a day hike on Mount Rainier. The light was fading, painting the hemlock woods in long, distorted shadows. That's when I heard it. A little girl's voice, sweet and clear and trembling with fear. Help! I'm over here. I'm hurt. It was Sarah Wilson. It came from a dense, nearly impenetrable thicket of devil's club and blackberry vines, their thorns like fishhooks. My blood ran cold even as my training took over. Sarah, stay where you are. We're coming. I keyed my radio. Dispatch, I have a possible location on the Wilson girl. West of the main trail, near the creek, preparing to extract. My sergeant's voice crackled back, clear and sharp. Eli, stop. Stand down. We found the Wilsons. They're at the trailhead. All of them. Sarah is here. She's in shock. She hasn't spoken a word since we found her. The world seemed to tilt. The blood drained from my face. If Sarah was safe at the trailhead, the voice from the thicket came again, but the fear was gone, replaced by a low, gurgling, impossibly ancient mimicry of a little girl's laugh. It was a sound of mockery, of a predator that had just played a wonderful, cruel game. The vines rustled, not with the passage of a body, but with a shuddering, convulsive motion, as if the entire thicket were alive. I ran. I'm not ashamed to say it. I ran, and I didn't look back. My last post was the most remote. 1,000,000 acres of boreal forest in northern Maine, a place where the maps still have blank spots. That's where I saw the tree. It was a white pine, ancient and twisted, its bark like elephant hide. It stood in a small, barren clearing, a silent monarch. Its first branches started a good 50 feet up. It was utterly unclimbable. Yet we kept finding things in its upper limbs. A full-grown white-tailed deer, its body neatly draped over a thick bough like a discarded towel, its belly hollowed out, its spine visibly snapped in a dozen places. A week later, a black bear, its immense weight somehow hauled into the canopy, its skull crushed, the marrow sucked from its bones. It was a larder, a panty. The game warden and I decided to camp out, to watch it from a ridge 100 yards away with a high-powered spotter scope. The cold seeped into our bones. The night was utterly silent. No owls, no crickets. The forest was holding its breath. Just before dawn, as the world was a study in grays, we saw it. A figure was pressed against the trunk of the pine. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, a peculiar pattern in the bark. Then it moved. It unpeeled itself from the tree. It was tall, 7 feet, maybe more. Impossibly thin, its limbs elongated and jointed all wrong. Its skin was a muddled gray-white, the color of a corpse left in the water. It had no discernible face, just a smooth, blank oval where features should be. It turned its head. There was no neck. The entire upper part of its torso rotated smoothly, silently, until the blank oval was pointed directly at us. It had seen us. Then it began to climb. It didn't use its limbs like an animal or a man. It moved up the sheer trunk like it was smoke, flowing upwards in a series of disturbing, boneless contortions. It reached the first limb, 50 feet up, in seconds. It perched there for a moment, a grotesque parody of a vulture, that faceless head still fixed on us. And then it opened. A vertical slit appeared in the center of its torso, from its neck to its groin. The slit yawned open, peeling back to reveal a rib cage that wasn't made of bone, but of hundreds of long, needle-sharp, chitinous spikes. And from the dark, wet cavity within, it made a sound. It was a dry, rattling, clicking sound, like 1,000 cockroaches scurrying over each other. It was a sound of hunger, an invitation. The game warden vomited. I fumbled for my rifle, my hands numb and clumsy. When I looked back up, it was gone, vanished into the high, dark branches. I quit the next morning. I turned in my badge, my gear, my maps. I moved to a small apartment in a city with lots of lights and lots of people. But I still hear the sounds. The laughing owl, the wet crunching in the reeds, the dry snap from the cave, the mocking laughter from the thicket, the chittering click from the tree. They are out there. In the deep, dark places we've forgotten belong to them. They are patient. And they are always, always hungry. They are eating humans, and they are just getting started. Thanks for watching. And make sure to check out more of our Nightmare Zoo videos and YouTube shorts.